What's up? It's your boy, Kazi. Welcome to Kazi Plays. And today we got a special kind of video because it's been like a minute since I've been on Foamstars, and the anniversary at the time of this recording, it just came out, so happy 1 year anniversary to Foamstars. But what I decided to do is that I decided to come back to Foamstars for a day and check out everything that's new or what has changed, and then we're gonna go ahead and talk about why I think Foamstars failed when it should have succeeded. So without further ado, let's get into it. Just to make sure we're all on the same page, the last time that I did play Foamstars was back all the way when Bubble came out during Tribe Vibe. After that, I think that's when I really just put the game down. If we go ahead and take a look at the lobby, you can see now that the shopkeeper is actually standing outside the shop, which is something pretty cool. And then also, if you go all the way back here, you see those bubble sheeps. They're actually moving around and jumping about, except this one's doing his little dance thing. But other than that, lobby wise, it's pretty much the same. There are a few differences. Now, if you take a look at the shop, you can see it has been completely revamped. Over here on the first tab, you can basically check the season pass and see if you want to decide to buy it or not. Then for the second one, it's a featured and daily tab where you can choose to get these skins that pop up in a certain amount of time during rotation. And then the standard shop is basically just the same as before. It's just a different layout now. And then over here, Diamond Trade, basically this game has introduced a new in-game currency called Diamond Tokens, and these Diamond Tokens, you can use them to buy skins. And they even have a new variant for gun skins where you have the silver, gold, and pink and black metallic wraps, kind of with your characters after you play with them a certain amount of times. And then actually, if you go down here, you can go ahead and get some boards, some accessories, and then some emotes. And then actually, one of my favorite emotes is that you can turn into your Bubble Beastie, and it changes depending on which character you are. You got some icons, some banners, and then actually if you go all the way down here past the titles, you can actually grab some stuff for your lobby to spice it up a bit. If we head over to Barista Door, if we go over to the Foamstars customizations, everything is pretty much the same, except we have this new thing where you can change your shot type, and for each character, depending on what they have for their weapon, you can have two different other types that you can use, so you don't have to just use the standard type. And then if you head over to your gem set over here, they have prism gems. Now I'm not completely sure on what they do yet, but I'm assuming it's probably something that helps buffs up your characters and their kit and whatnot. Now, if we take a look over at the online side, the casual queue is pretty much the same, but for ranked they have now the Freedom League and the Legend League, and I'm assuming these are pretty much the same, similar to the other two rank modes that they used to have, but I could be wrong. So if you guys do know, let me know in the comments below. Those are all the changes that have happened to Foamstars, but if I did leave something out, let me know in the comments below. But I do want to just make things clear, just to make sure that some y'all are just not saying oh, he's a hater, he's just hating on the game just for clout, this and that. I want to let you know that I was playing this game since day one. I was always playing the game, having fun with my friends, buying skins, the battle pass, all of that. But the thing is that it's not that I wanted to leave the game, it's just that I had no choice. The game started to crumble, so I just decided to just take a step back from it all. After coming back to the game and playing it for a couple of hours, I realized there are these reasons why Foamstars failed: the cosmetics, the lack of content, the community, the marketing, and the fact that there was no crossplay. Let's first talk about the cosmetics. We're talking about cosmetics, we're talking about the shop, the battle pass, and the free-to-play rewards. Now with the battle pass, honestly, the way how I feel they executed the battle passes were very lazy, because most of the time it was just recolors of skins or different variants of the default skin. And I felt that was really something that they could have fixed and done better on. Although there were a few times, for example in the summer skin, they did have a swimsuit Soa, so they do every now and then do it, and it goes to show that they can make the battle pass quality better, they just choose not to. Now when we're looking at the shop, most of the time, especially back in like the first 3 seasons, where they had a bundle where you can get this really cool version of the Bubble Beastie, but it was locked behind a bundle where you had to buy a different skin for a character, which is cool and all, but the fact that it was $50 just to get it, I think $40-$50, whichever one it is, it's still really expensive, because here's what you'd get the skin, you get the board, I think some stickers, and then the Bubble BC skin. And honestly, I don't think it justifies the price at all, in my opinion. And then also with the shop, like the skins, some of them were high quality too, but at the time a lot of them were overpriced. But thankfully now, like a lot later on in like the later seasons, they did drop the prices down, but I felt like they did that way too late, and they should have just done that from the get-go. And if we're talking about the free-to-play rewards, really, you didn't really get much as like a free-to-play player from like stuff. Well, in the battle pass, at the end you could get like a recolor skin, but besides that, I think the best free-to-play reward they've done was that they had like a little event where you could get like recolors of your characters that had like the color scheme of like VTubers. That was honestly the best one in my opinion. But other than that, for like free-to-play players, they really didn't get much cosmetics wise. Next, let's talk about the lack of content. What I mean when I say there's a lack of content is that there is content, it's just not enough to last the season. Like for example, typically back in the early days, you would have Tribe Vibe, and then later on it would switch to Lone Stars, or vice versa sometimes, and then you would also have Extreme Parties on Friday that also like would play throughout the weekend too. But other than that, you don't really have any other content to do. You do have like the single player PvE stuff, but that stuff gets like pretty repetitive because it's pretty much the same stuff over and over again. And eventually, once you like pretty much do everything that you can with the Tribe Vibe, the Lone Stars, and then the PvE stuff, you have nothing left to do. Obviously, you could just like play with your friends and stuff, but some people get bored really fast and just repeating the same stuff over and over again, and they take too long to switch things up. And it also doesn't help that the queue times over time, when people like started leaving the game after just the first 3 seasons, it doesn't help that the queue time was like really long at times, and sometimes it would take so long that you would have to restart the queue and go into another one just to potentially get a match. And on top of that, it was time based, so depending on what time you hopped onto the game could dictate if you would be able to find people. Now granted, in the later seasons they did somewhat fix this up, because what they did is that they did revamp the casual queue, so you can go ahead and queue in for any game that you want, because back then it wasn't guaranteed what you would get. It's a random chance of getting Smash a Star, Happy Bath, or Rubber Duck, and then later on Jackpot Scramble. But now you can actually choose which one you want to queue into, or just queue for all of them. Before we move on to the next part of the video, if you like this type of content, want to dive further into the community, I do got a Discord link in the description below. There we talk about games, anime, manga, and whatnot, so if you're interested, feel free to stop by. We'd love to have you. Let's talk about the community. At first, the community was really fun, it was welcoming, and you would enjoy hanging out with all your friends, and especially the official Discord that they have for the game. It was really fun hanging out with all the people and whatnot, and you would stay updated about everything that was happening on the game. As the game was going downhill, so was the community too as well, because honestly what was going on was that people were starting to become toxic, rude, and whatnot, and things started getting ugly. And I guarantee that a lot of people who got off the game and quit the game entirely was because of the community itself, especially with the main thing that a lot of people used to do was queue sniping. And basically what that is that you just like try to like time up you going into a game at the same time with somebody else in the hopes of you getting into their game and to just be toxic. and especially with the fact that there wasn't that many players on the game, it's pretty easy to queue up with somebody and then get into their game over and over again. And I'm not talking about like a few times, I'm talking about like consistently like 5, 6, maybe even 7 times in a row. And that got really bad really quickly. I do gotta give props to the moderators in the community Discord, because even though things are pretty bad, they could have been so much worse, because this was chaos that was controlled. Now imagine if there was no moderators or nothing and they were just free to do whatever. This would have been hectic, and honestly I feel like the game would have died way quicker. Now let's talk about the marketing. Let me ask you this. Did you know this game had a beta? Did you know that this game was gonna come out on PS Plus before it got released? Did you know that there was a community Discord for this game where you could chat and interact with people? If you said no to any of these questions, the reason why is because of the poor marketing that they did. They never promoted their game at any of the huge gaming events, and then on top of that, whenever they would drop a trailer for a game, they would never push it out. If you wanted to like actually see the trailer for a game and know when it come out, you would have to actually be subbed to the page and actually look at the page itself on YouTube or on Twitter if you follow them there too. The thing is that with these trailers, they only drop trailers only when a new season comes out. Other than that, they did not do any kind of promotional content. Now I will say, at least on the JP side of things, they tried their best to push out their game as much as they can, especially on their Twitter. They would have trivia, they would have some contests, and even promote other stuff too about the game as well, including some lore drops and some other stuff too as well. So I will say this is more so on the US side of things that they really didn't do much promotion with. I honestly think if they had promoted this game properly and let more people know about the game, this could have definitely lasted a lot longer. And finally, let's talk about the fact that there was no crossplay for this game. If you have been paying attention to these Foamstars trailers for each season, you would see that at the end there's a panel where it says like Foamstars PlayStation exclusive, but if you look at the small text at the bottom, it would say something along the lines of not available on any other format before August 5th, 2025. Me, myself, and a lot of other people thought that what this meant was that after August 5th, crossplay would get announced and the game would get revived. But August 6th came and no announcement or anything like that. Somebody did point out that on August 6th we would still be in the middle of a season, so we were thinking that maybe that, oh, when the next season starts, they'll definitely announce crossplay then. But the next season came and still no crossplay, and even now they still haven't announced crossplay for this game, well, because they said that they stopped providing updates to it. I honestly don't understand why they didn't add a crossplay to this game when it first came out, because this would have done numbers. Especially, here's the thing, right? They had like this whole tournament thing going on, and in the chat, you know what people were really upset about? It's not about how the game looked, it's not about how the game played. It was the fact that it wasn't on the other platforms, especially the PC players. The PC players were extremely upset about this because they thought that this game, it would have been so much fun to play as, and this could have definitely widened the community and would have brought in more money for them as well. But this was just a failed opportunity, and maybe there was like potentially some issues going on under the scene, who knows. But if this was possible, they should have just added crossplay to the game. Making a game a PS exclusive is very dangerous, and especially for a game like this where it wasn't well known because of the lack of marketing. I honestly feel like it should have been a crossplay game. Now, there are a few exceptions, like for example, the Spider-Man series on PlayStation. That is a PS exclusive, and the only reason why it's doing so well, obviously it's a good game itself, but because of the fact that Spider-Man itself is a very popular character and the name alone already brings numbers. But when you have a game that nobody knows about and nobody's ever heard about, it makes it really hard for it to succeed when you don't have it on other platforms. And yeah, those are all the reasons why I think Foamstars failed when it should have succeeded. And don't get me wrong, I love this game to death, and this will always hold a special place in my heart, but I can't just keep lying to myself and say that, oh, this game will like fix itself, it will do the things that I'm hoping it will, even though it won't, because it just wasn't in the cards. But hey, maybe they'll copy what Splitgate did, because here's the thing, Splitgate, it had the same issue where like when it first came out, it was pretty bad. Well, it was fun for like a couple weeks, but then it just completely flat out died. But now what they did is that, like, I think recently they announced the Splitgate 2. So who knows, maybe Foamstars will do the same and they'll bring out a sequel that fixes all the issues that this one had, and it will become a way better game and hopefully will stay alive. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, and if you do want to check out my other content that I do on this channel, why don't you go to support your boy. I'll go and catch y'all in the next one. Y'all take it easy.